Hi, I'm Hazel and I like to read, but just not romance novels. And that's a shame because what's better than finding love and romance? So in this video I'm asking the question, why do people like romance? And could I also enjoy romance novels? Let's find out. First off, I asked my love, why do people like romance? And ChatGPT had this to say on the subject. 1. Romance lets people experience the highs and lows of intimacy, desire, heartbreak, triumph, and all without personal stakes. You can fall in love, have your heart broken, fall in love again, all while wearing pajamas. Okay, so to find out if I can like romance, I'm going to read something that can make me experience the highs and lows of intimacy without the personal stakes. So I thought maybe Wildfire can provide me that. So Wildfire by Hannah Grace is a book about these two people, Aurora and Russ, and they have a one-night stand. And Aurora just leaves after the one-night stand, and then they find out that they have the same summer job. They work as counselors in a summer camp. So that's where they meet again, and there is a no fraternizing rule, so they are not allowed to fraternize. And that makes it a forbidden romance, I believe. So let me just get into this one. I've read a bit more of Wildfire. I'm about halfway through right now, and they clearly both have daddy issues in different ways, but much the same way as well. And it still feels a bit juvenile to me. Also, the way that the girl Aurora Rory wants to force almost Russ into this relationship, but also into telling her stuff that he's maybe not ready to tell her. It's just all a bit insecure college girl vibes to me. But no, it feels a bit icky. And also, it's written in a way where they are communicating for the sake of communicating, and it all feels really juvenile, like they don't know what actually communicating means, and they are playing at communicating in a relationship. That is kind of the way it feels. It feels very, we're practicing communicating, and it is in, yeah, I don't know. It's still, I don't know about it. It's not my favorite. It's not a good start to this video. I'm not having a good time reading Wildfire. I mean, I'm having a bit of a good time, but it's also definitely not my favorite. And let me just finish this book. But I'm going to put it down for today, and I'll get back to it another day. Number 2. Most romance books offer a happily ever after, or at least a satisfying emotional resolution. That predictability brings comfort, especially in chaotic times. People want to believe in love that endures and people who deserve it. Oh yes, I am reading Funny Story by Emily Henry. That's correct. I'm reading Funny Story by Emily Henry for the happily ever after trope. Happily ever after thing that people like in romances. So this is kind of a funny story actually. So this is about a woman who moved her entire life to a small city. It's still a city. And her husband then decides that he actually, not husband, they're fiancés and they're almost getting married. And then he decides that he actually doesn't love her as much as he does love his girl best friend. So he's going to go on vacation with her. And in the week that he'll be gone, he expects her to pack up her stuff and leave. So she then meets Miles, who is her ex-fiance's new girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. Are you still following? And they decide to check up together. Or, well, Miles offers her a room in his apartment because his girlfriend left him. So he has this space, and he can tell that a week to move out That's insane. So she accepts. So now she's living with her ex fiance's new fiance's ex, right? It's a romance novel, so they're going to fall in love, I guess. And I'm still at the beginning of it, but I'm guessing that that's how it's gonna go. And I love the drama of it. Um, it's mean, but I do love this type of drama. It gets me excited. The thing that happens somewhere in the beginning of the book is that they get a invitation to the wedding of these two people who are called Peter and Petra, by the way, which is insane. And they get drunk and they decide, you know what, we're going to go and fake date. Well, they don't really decide it. She kind of slips and says that she's dating Miles now. So it's a fake dating trope, and just the drama and the intrigue. It's just I love that. So I'm just very much at the beginning of this book, so I'm going to keep reading. So I'm about halfway through Funny Story by Emily Henry, and I just wanted to come here and talk about how the thing I like about romance books, the way it deals with real problems and trauma that people in the real world are also struggling with. So it's very relatable in that way. I really like the exploration of problems and trauma and mental instability, I guess, and the way a character deals with that, and the way that it can get in the way of the romance, and the way that having a significant other can also really help someone that is struggling with something. I just really enjoy reading about that, and it's also a little bit therapeutic in a way because you can recognize some of the things that a character is going through and dealing with, and see parts of yourself in that, and through that also heal a little bit, feel seen, but also see the way that a character is dealing with it, and which can give you tools to deal with it yourself. And just it can make you get to know yourself a bit better, and it's kind of therapeutic in that way, and I really really enjoy that part of romance novels. Those are the kinds of romance novels that I really really enjoy. I like them better than just simple meet someone, have sex with them, and be happy forever. I like the messy ones with the messy characters with real trauma. I like that way better. Like this one, Funny Story by Emily Henry. Like I said, I'm about halfway. I really like it. I really enjoy it. It's very funny and it's kind of a roller coaster. It's up and down and there's a lot of drama and I really enjoy it. So I'm going to keep going with this one. I really love reading this. It's kind of a roller coaster. The people in this are so fun to read about because they're so layered. Sometimes it's so devastating, and other times it's so fun. And in that way, like I said, it's kind of like a roller coaster. I really like the drama of this and how funny it is, and what they're doing, and also like I said, the seriousness of the situation that these characters are in. I really really enjoy this. So I'm almost finished. I'm at chapter 28, which is just a little bit left to go. So I'm going to try and finish this today. Number three. escapism with feelings. From moody Highlanders to morally grey librarians, romance delivers compelling characters in vivid worlds. Whether it's the small town charm or a dark fantasy realm, the focus on connection makes even escapist settings feel deeply personal. Oh hey, I got cozy and started reading The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brienne Randall. I chose this one for the escapism that still feels personal. So I chose this one. It's a cozy fantasy more than it is a romance because it is, well, it's still a romance, and I thought escapism magic because that is usually where I escape to. And this is about a woman who has magic which is tied to a curse. And in her case, the curse is that if she suffers 4 heartbreaks, she will lose her magic. She already, as far as I know from how far I am into the book and the blurb, is that she has already suffered 2 heartbreaks, and now her grandmother has cancer, and her childhood love, who broke her heart, is back in town. So it's very cozy and magical, and I'm really excited to get into this one. I think it's going to be right up my alley, although it's maybe not a romance in the traditional sense. But yeah, let me just continue on reading. So I've been reading The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brienne Randall for a while now. And so the thing is, the magic plot is gripping me way more than the romance plot is, because the guy that is the romance interest, Jake, is engaged to another woman. So that really puts me off. But there is a plot twist to that as well. I'm sorry if this spoils too much for you, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really enjoy romance plots where the one of the romance partners already is actively in a relationship. That's not for me. I don't like non-available people in in the sense that this it's the same reason that I don't like plots where there are 2 potential love interests, because there's always someone that's whose heart is going to be broken. And it's funny that this is especially about heartbreak, because I just don't like that outcome. I don't like if someone needs to break up with someone else before they can start the romance that it is about, like in this one. And I also don't like when there are 2 men fighting for one woman, because inevitably one of those men is going to be heartbroken. They're going to have to get rejected by the main character, which I just don't like that. I am a people pleaser, and that is very much irking me. I don't like anyone to be sad or upset. Very much into the magic part of this, very much into the family part of this, because I haven't talked about that yet, because this is very much about her family as well. She has a long lost brother that comes back. She has a long lost mother that comes back. Of course, her grandmother is very sick, so there is a lot of family dynamics in this as well, which I really enjoy to read about as well, because it just gives depth to the character and to the character's life. And I don't know, I like reading about different types of relationships as well. Really enjoying this one, but not very romancy in the traditional sense, and don't like that someone's getting heartbroken. I'm going to keep on reading this one for now. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actively snowing. I don't think you can actually see it. Anyway, I finished this book, The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. I really liked it. Like the other ones, I'm going to leave a review at the end of the video, and I'm going to jump straight into the next book, which its theme is number 4, relatable growth arcs. The best romances aren't just about falling in love with someone else. They're also about characters learning to love themselves, set boundaries, heal past wounds, or take risks for their own lives. That kind of internal journey really resonates with people. Relatable growth arcs And the book I'm talking about is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This one is about a nurse. She's not like a normal nurse that just works at a hospital while she is, but she works at a different hospital every 3 months, I believe. So she and her best friend, they go to a different city every 3 months and work at a hospital there. But she meets this guy on Reddit because this guy has written a Reddit post where he says that every woman that he has a relationship with, then after they break up, move on to their forever partner. They're going to get married after him every time, so he's cursed. And she sees this post because she has the same curse, and they talk online, and then they hit it off really quickly, and she decides to spend the summer in his city to get to know him a little bit better. Or no, not to get to know him a little bit better. It's more like they're doing this fake dating trope, kind of. They are going to date each other so that the curse is going to cancel each other out, and they will find their true love after they have dated each other. And of course, this is a romance novel, so they probably will end up together at the end. But I don't know. I still have to start it, but I'm very excited. This sounds like a really fun trope. It's the next day, and I started right away in Just for the Summer again this morning. But I should go get ready now for the day, so I'm going to put on some makeup. Get myself dressed, but I came on here because I wanted to talk a bit about the book. I'm really enjoying it. This is one of those romance novels again where the characters have real trauma and real problems, which is, I'm finding, exactly the kind of romance novel that I really enjoy because it's real and it's deep, and there is much to flesh out, and it is complex. Romance novels usually follow a clear path, and there's usually a third act where the characters get into kind of a fight, and it's all looking lost, and we don't know what. We know that they will get back together, and it will be a happy ending in the end, but there's always this fight or trouble somewhere around the end of the book, and we're going to be on the edge of our seats to see if the characters will end up together. And in books where the characters have real trauma and real problems and real life issues, that third act just is more realistic and less forced, and it's more something that would actually happen in real life. It's not a miscommunication trope usually. Well, sometimes it is, but it is understandable that the miscommunication happened because of the character's history. You know what I'm trying to say? And for this particular book, the main character, the woman, has been neglected as a child. That's trauma that is hard to overcome, first of all, but that's also something that makes people be people pleasers. It makes it hard for people to attach themselves to other people because of fear for being left again. So in that case, it is very realistic because they have a hard time trusting people, and because they have a hard time attaching themselves to people, they will have a hard time when they fall in love. And I just really enjoy that type of book. So I'm going to get ready now. Okay, I know in my mind that this is a romance novel, and so they will end up together, but I am really on the edge of my seat. I really don't know if they will end up together, and this is the first time a romance novel has made me question if the characters will actually end up together, or if this is going to be and they lived happily ever after apart from each other ending. I'm really on the edge of my seat, and they probably will end up together, of course, but I don't know. I'm afraid. I really hope they do end up together. And also I wanted to say that I feel really bad for her, for everything she has had to go through and is still going through with her mother. And there was a reveal in this book as well. I'm almost at the end of it. Well, that makes me feel even worse for her, but at the same time, very glad for her. So I really recommend this one. Number 5, it's a safe space for exploring desires. Romance lets people safely explore emotional or sexual desires, even the ones that may feel too personal or too taboo to address in real life. It is validating and empowering to read a book about this because you're definitely not the only one wanting this then, especially when readers see themselves represented. Okay, so the next book we're reading has to be one that has delicious tension. No, that's incorrect. The next book we're going to be reading is going to have to be one that is a safe space for exploring desires. So there's only one on my shelf that I can definitely try that with, and that is Ellie Hazelwood's Deep End, which is, as far as I know, a soft BDSM exploration. So we're going to get wet and wild with Ellie Hazelwood. And I'm laughing about that joke because this one is, well, you can see it's wet. It's about Scarlett, who is a professional diver, or at least she does diving for her college. She's a college athlete, which I believe in America means that you're basically a professional athlete. And she gets into this secret romance with another professional swimmer, and they explore some sexual desires. So let's get into this one. So I already told you that I really enjoy Ellie Hazelwood's books, and that's probably because, like I said before, I like when characters are deep and when they have real problems and real trauma, and Ellie Hazelwood really does write characters that have that. And especially in the first few books, she wrote characters that were basically me with their problems and their troubles. So it really touched me on a deep, deep level. And it really helped me, but also really made me cry. And that just the way that she makes me feel through her books and through her characters, that is what makes me really, really, really love Ellie Hazelwood. And now she has written Scarlett, who also has problems that really resonate with me and that I can really relate to on a very deep level. It's like Ellie Hazelwood is me, or she knows me, and she can read my mind. It's so strange to experience that, and I don't have that with any other writers, for as far as I know, because of course I haven't read books from every writer there is, but Ellie Hazelwood really does that for me. And with this as well, the desires of this main character are also very close to home, which is a bit embarrassing to talk about online, but forgive me for being human, I guess. I don't know. And I really get the thing of having a safe space to explore those desires, because you're living vicariously through the characters of a book when you're reading a book. That means that you can just sit in the comfort of your own home and read about those desires, and no one will know, except the entire internet in my case, that you have read about those things and that you also sometimes think about those things, and you don't have to actually try them out because you're reading about them. And if you don't actually try them out, that also means that you don't have to bring someone into those thoughts and desires. I'm not going to talk about it any further. It's a bit personal and embarrassing, I guess. I really like this book. Let me just say that. Now let's get into how I could love romance myself. Now, I kind of lied at the beginning. I don't fully hate romance. I do enjoy a good romance book here and there, and I have found one author that always hits the mark for me, and that's Ellie Hazelwood. And I have considered this. Why is she the one that makes the books that I actually enjoy. Why are her books almost life-changing for me? And when I say almost, I am being shy because I don't want you to think that I'm weird, but they hit me on a deeper level. But why is this? Well, they are about more than just meeting a guy, liking the way he smells, and falling in love. They are also about real problems that people face. For example, in Not in Love, Rue deals with being neglected as a child and thus having social anxieties and anxieties about food. In Love Theoretically, Elsie struggles with her people pleasing personality and has real trouble actually letting people see who she is and letting her guard down with anyone. And in Deep End, Scarlett struggles with perfectionism and wanting to be in control at all times. These are things that I can really resonate with, that are really they are so close to who I am that it's life changing to read about people that go through these types of things. And it was very interesting to read how Ellie Hazelwood was able to really describe these problems in a realistic way. There are layers to the characters, and there's also deeper connections between the characters, more than just I like the way you look and the way you smell. And that is what I want from a romance novel. I want the characters to have a deep, deep connection, and I want the main character to go through something that I can resonate with and something that can make me cry, honestly. Okay, let me tell you a bit more about this book and what it's about, because I feel like I only talked about the sex part of it. So, this is about Scarlett, a woman that has a lot on her plate. She is in college as a professional diver. I don't know exactly how it works in America, but she is one of the college's divers, which means that she is performing on a high level and she is doing competitions and stuff. So she had an injury a year ago, and because of that, she now has a mental block, and also she has some physical problems because of it. As if that isn't enough to deal with, she's also trying to get into med school, and she is doing that on a very high level as well. Of course, it's Ellie Hazelwood. Of course, that's happening. She's struggling with perfectionism, basically. She wants everything to be perfect. This also means that she has performance issues, because if it's not perfect, then she doesn't want to do it, I guess. That's not exactly how it's being described, but as someone who is also struggling with stuff like that, that is basically the gist of it. That's her. And because of that, she also has these desires. With power play, she would like to have someone else be in control for once. That's basically how that works. And then there is this guy, Lucas. And Lucas is an Olympic swimmer who also goes to this college, who is also a med school student, I believe. So he's also performing very high level swimming and performing very high level educationally. And he's from Sweden, and he would like to be in control of someone, but he is dating one of Scarlett's friends and teammates. You know, she's like, we cannot be together, but it ends up being the case that they are not actually together anymore. They're just together for the outside world. They haven't told anyone that they've broken up. Her friend basically couples them up. They start this sexual relationship together, but secretly. And, it's a romance novel, so during that they get closer and closer, and they also work through their problems. Basically, her problems in this book. Yeah, really like it. I'm really enjoying this one, so I will keep reading this one. And number 6, delicious tension. There is nothing quite like that slow burn eye contact, that almost touch, the misunderstood feelings. The emotional tension in a romance novel is basically a dopamine drip. So I put on my autumnal outfit today because we are reading The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. And this is about a woman, Jeannie, that she lives the dull every day is the same city life. And then her aunt gifts her cafe, and the cafe is in a small town. So she accepts and she goes and lives in this small town and starts this cafe, the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And there she meets Logan, who is a grumpy farmer who, I think, who is trying to avoid her because of his own past. And I really like the grumpy sunshine trope because that's basically what my husband and I are. So he is the grumpy grump type farmer, and she is the sunshine and roses, bubbly personality. And together they will make a great couple, except they're not being a couple yet. I don't know how this will go because I haven't read it yet. But we will see. I'm really excited for this one. They are annoying me. um, they should just get together, right? But I do like the book. It is easy. There is not much going on. It's not high emotions like Ellie Hazelwood or Emily Henry is dealing with very deep personal issues. And this doesn't have that. And I do get the charm of that. And I do get that sometimes you just need to relax and have an easy reading experience without too much thinking, without too much emotion. I do get that, but it is not that much for me. I do like it. I do really enjoy sometimes reading things like that, to have a pause between the very emotional and roller coastery books, but it's not my favorite reading experience, though I do like it. That is what I'm trying to say. I'm about halfway through it, and I think, well, I do really like the cozy small town vibes as well, because it is a kind of slow life that I really appreciate and I really enjoy, and I myself also live in a small town outside of the city because I do really like that slow pace of life. I should probably keep reading. So ultimately, people love romance books because they're about being chosen, being seen, and learning to love and be loved, which are some of the most human desires of all. Thank you, chat. That was very helpful. Okay, so that was everything. Those were all the books. And the question now is, did I find something that was 5 stars? Am I now a changed woman, and do I now very much love romance? Well, let's just go through all the books that I read this video and see what I thought of them. So first of all, I read Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and this was for the experiencing the highs and lows of intimacy. Now, I already said this much, but I really did not enjoy this one very much. It's not for me. So this was about Russ and Aurora. We're spending the summer together at the same summer camp because that's where they worked as consuls. Yeah, as any book in this series, it was very intimacy heavy, not as much as the previous one, which was called Icebreaker. That was even more intimacy heavy, but this was as well. And it was also a bit, like I said, they were communicating in a way that felt very juvenile. You know, they were communicating in a way that felt like they were practicing communication, and they had just read their first Communicating 101 book in their first Communicating 101 class in college, and they were now practicing that. It kind of felt like that. It felt unnatural and forced. And also, what I have found is that I don't really like intimacy in romance novels so much, because when you're reading a romance novel, you usually get very deep into a person's psyche as well. You get to know the people on a very deep level, and then when there is a intimacy scene in the book, for me it feels like I am watching good friends have sex with each other, and that is just, it feels icky. I don't enjoy that. Not at all. I know the characters too well to watch in on them having sex, so I don't like that. See, you have romance that gets deep into characters, and I very much like reading about that. And then you have romance that is all about the intimacy, and I can get around to that because you don't get to know the characters on such a deep level. Also, usually intimacy scenes are written in a way that it just grosses me out sometimes. So anyway, did not enjoy this very much, gave it 2 stars. Would not recommend this series, even though it's a TikTok best-selling series. that's probably just a red flag for me altogether. If something is doing very well on TikTok, it's probably not for me. And Wildfire definitely did not convince me to keep reading romance. It almost put me off of it. It was a bad one to start with. But let's go to the next one, because I really did love this one. Funny Story by Emily Henry, which I read for the Happily Ever After category, which was funny because I was not sure if these people would actually end up together in the end. So funny story, actually. Anyway, this book has a lot of drama as well, which I really enjoyed. It excites me for some reason. It was about two people whose exes are engaged and then invite them to their wedding, and the two people are also living together and they start fake dating. I don't know, it was messy and it was just really funny, and I also really liked the way that the woman in this book kind of finds herself and who she wants to be, and finds her place in the city that she's living in. And it was just funny as well. So I really like this one. I don't remember if there was any intimacy, any spice in this. Probably is. I feel like all romance these days, they have this mandatory 2 sex scenes in them, and I can do without it. But I did really enjoy this one, and it made me see why people like romance so much, because like I said, there is a happily ever after promise, and it's just an easy read. You don't have to stress about whatever's happening in the story. You don't have to think about it so much because everything's happening in a world and place that is very familiar, because it's just the here and now. And it's just, like I said, easy to read, fun to read, and quick to read. So stepping deeper into liking romance. Next up, I read The Unfortunate Side Effect of Heartbreak and Magic, which I feel like just did not belong into this list, but I did really like it. But it's not really, it is a romance. At the same time, it isn't, because it is magical realism. And it was mainly about her magic and her family, as well as the romance that is happening in this as well. Which, the romance itself, I wasn't really convinced by, because she was in love with a man that was in a relationship. And I really don't enjoy those types of love stories. But I did really like this book. I do really recommend it. It doesn't belong in a romance category. It is magical realism. And if you want to know more about it, it is about, I think I've already told you, but it's about magic being tied to a curse. And if, in the case of Sadie, our main character, if she breaks her heart 4 times, her magic will disappear. She already broken her heart twice, and now there is a chance that she's going to be heartbroken 4 times because her grandmother has cancer and her teenage childhood young life lover has come back. I do really recommend it. I do really love it. It's a kind of a cozy fantasy type of book as well. There is recipes in front of every chapter, because she is a cafe owner, I believe, and she makes little treats with magic, and it's very cozy, very, very lovely. Really loved it. Not romance. Okay, and then I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and I really liked this one as well. I really loved the story and the character arcs, and like I said, romance is really the thing I really like about romance, is the character arcs and getting deep into the story of people and their real life problems and their psyche. It's very psychologically interesting for me to really dive deep into someone's mind and brain, and I just really like this. So this is about a woman with a lot of childhood problems. She had a very flaky mother and was dealing with neglect as a child, which also means that as an adult she's still having problems related to that. She lives a life where every 6 months, I believe, or every 3 months she moves. She is a traveling nurse, so every 3 months she goes to a different city or place where she works as a nurse for 3 months in the local hospital with her best friend. And then she meets a guy, and instead of going to Hawaii, they go to this guy, and only for 6 weeks, to get to know him and to lift a curse that is apparently upon them, which is that every spouse that they have, once they break up, that spouse goes on to find their true love. And they think by dating each other, they then will move on to find their true love. Well, we already know how that's going to end. Really enjoyed this one because, again, of the psychological problems that people are dealing with and addressing and growing out of and learning to love themselves and stuff like that. I really enjoy that. So then I went on to a book that could be a safe space to explore sexual desires, and that is Deep End by Ellie Hazelwood. And of course this was an easy one because I already know I love Ellie Hazelwood's books, so I knew I was going to love this one, and I did. This was about two people with very high demanding lives. They had to perform a lot. They're both very good at school and are in a very competitive field, and they are both very good at sports and are competing and very competitive and all of that. And then they decide together that they're going to get into a sexual relationship where they can explore their desires. And at the same time, it's mostly about Scarlett, their main character, who is fighting some psychological problems again, which I, again, really enjoyed. So really enjoyed this one, itching the 5 stars for me, because Ellie Hazelwood always makes me feel stuff, like deeply feel for the characters. So really love this one, really do recommend this one. And lastly, we're not ending on a banger with this. This is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I was reading for the delicious tension category, but sure, there was some tension, but it wasn't delicious, it was mostly frustrating. And I did like it. It's an easy read, cozy, full vibes, but it wasn't for me. Again, something that is very hyped on TikTok isn't for me. Big surprise. I should learn from this and just not get those types of books. But anyway, to conclude this video, let's answer the question, do I love romance? And I think the answer is yes. I do really like romance books now and again, especially when they deal with some psychological problems, because I am also deeply flawed and troubled person. And I like to read about people that also experience something like that, so that I don't feel alone, I guess. And I also like that usually people are healing in these books, and that is just so heartwarming to read about, and gives the people hope. So yes, I do. I am a changed woman. I love romance, and I will keep reading romance. So please comment down below, what do you think about romance novels? Do you enjoy them or do you hate them? And what do you think about spicy scenes in romance novels? Are you like me and you're just kind of iffy about it? And it has to be very specific for you to like it? Or do you just eat it up all the time? Let me know. I'm very curious. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.